In the late hours of October 4th, 2023, the tragic events would unfold when a mother of a 4-month baby would be shot dead moments after her Facebook post. It's often said that appearances can be deceiving, and the case of a 20-year-old mother is a heartbreaking example of how a seemingly perfect life can quickly shatter. From the outside, Jacavia's life appeared to be everything she had worked for: a new car, a steady job, and the love of her family. But behind the smiles and shared photos on social media, a darker, more dangerous story was unfolding. At around 4 p.m., authorities responded to an apartment on Marigold Drive in Pensacola, a quiet residential area. When they arrived, they discovered the horrifying crime scene. Officers found the mother's lifeless body, but even more unsettling was the unconscious body of her killer. In a horrifying act of violence, the mother of a 4-month baby was shot dead moments after posting on Facebook. And tragically, her story echoes one we've already covered on this channel. Do you remember the case of a 31-year-old side chick who was shot dead moments after revealing their secret on Facebook Live? If you haven't watched that case yet, I'll link it at the end of this video. It's a chillingly similar story you won't want to miss. Now let's look at the life and death of Jacavia Simmons. Jacavia Simmons, born on May 16, 2003, was a 20-year-old woman full of potential and dreams. Raised in Pensacola, Florida, Jacavia had the kind of personality that could light up any room. Described by her family and friends as a loving, independent, and fun-loving person, Jacavia was the heartbeat of her family. She was the person who always knew how to bring joy into every situation, making sure those around her felt supported and loved. But despite her joyful spirit, life would one day throw her an unexpected challenge. Jacavia graduated from Escalating High School in Pensacola, where she was known for her friendly and outgoing nature. She was the kind of person who could make friends with anyone, effortlessly bridging gaps between people from all walks of life. Her infectious energy didn't just leave a mark on her peers. It also resonated with her teachers and mentors, who admired her drive and determination to succeed. But soon, Jacavia was about to take on a different role. After high school, Jacavia began working at Hollister, a clothing retailer, where she was respected by her colleagues for her strong work ethic and positive attitude. She quickly became a beloved member of the team, always offering a helping hand and motivating others to do their best. From the outside, it seemed like Jacavia had everything going for her. However, what appeared to be a perfect life was about to unravel in a way she never saw coming. Jacavia had a job she enjoyed, a supportive network of friends and family, and the kind of energy that made her the life of any gathering. Her ability to make everyone feel included was a testament to the warm and open heart she carried with her. But little did she know, a new chapter was on the horizon, one that would bring both joy and unforeseen heartache. Jacavia was in a relationship with Tridarius Gray. They both had been dating for a while, and it seemed like the relationship was perfect. Their bond was built on love and shared dreams for the future. In February 2021, Jacavia found out she was pregnant, and this news, initially, was a time of joy for both of them. But this was only the beginning of a journey filled with unexpected twists. They celebrated the pregnancy with a baby shower that brought their close family and friends together. The pictures from that event showed two young people in love, excited about starting their journey as parents. Jacavia's pregnancy was a time of anticipation and preparation. She and Tridarius spent months getting ready for the arrival of their daughter, Tylani Gray. Jacavia poured her heart into setting up the baby's nursery, picking out clothes, and making sure everything was ready for her little girl's arrival. Jacavia was determined to be the best mom, providing her daughter with a bright and happy future. At just 20 years old, she had become a mother to a 4-month baby, Tylani, the love of her life. She was a dedicated mother to her daughter. Jacavia's social media painted a picture of a happy young family, with pictures of her and Tridarius smiling and enjoying life together. These posts showcased moments of joy, like family outings, holidays, and simple moments of affection. But just when they thought they had everything set, the pressures of life would surface. Despite the growing tension, Jacavia tried to remain hopeful. She was a fighter, determined to keep her family together for the sake of Tailani. But no matter how much she tried to make things work, the relationship between her and Tridarius seemed to be deteriorating. Jacavia, always a nurturing spirit, took to her role as a mother with full devotion. But the increasing tension between her and Tridarius created a difficult environment for her. The love they once shared was no longer enough to shield them from the harsh realities of their relationship. And soon a tragic turn of events would shatter her world beyond repair. And even the love for her child couldn't protect Jacavia from the impending tragedy that would soon befall her. By the time October 2023 rolled around, Jacavia and Tridarius Gray had already begun to face serious issues in their relationship. Despite their public displays of affection and happy family posts on social media, things were not as perfect behind closed doors. Jacavia had begun posting cryptic messages that hinted at her dissatisfaction. Friends and family could see the shift. What appeared to be a fairy tale romance was turning into something far darker. Jacavia would share what would be her last post. From the post, it seemed like Jacavia had finally decided to leave the relationship. But little did anyone know, those cryptic posts were just the beginning of an irreversible breakdown. On October 4th, Tridarius, unable to handle the public breakup announced by Jacavia on Facebook, made a fatal decision. After reading her post, Tridarius drove to Jacavia's apartment, intent on confronting her. The confrontation started with heated words, but before anyone could de-escalate the situation, things took a tragic turn. They argued fiercely, with emotions running high, and it became clear that what started as a verbal altercation was rapidly spiraling out of control. But this was the beginning of a horrific tragedy that no one could have predicted. In a fit of rage, Tridarius pulled out a firearm and shot Jacavia 5 times in cold blood, right in front of their infant child. The crime took place inside the apartment, a place that Jacavia had hoped to feel safe and secure. The bullets shattered the silence, leaving the walls of their home stained with not only blood, but the remnants of broken dreams. But the horror didn't end there. The aftermath of what happened next would leave everyone in disbelief. After killing Jacavia, Tridarius turned the weapon on himself, fatally injuring himself as well. Their infant child, crying and confused, was left alone in the middle of the nightmare. As the sound of gunfire echoed through the small apartment, the child's cries were the only signs of life left in that room.
The call to the police came just after 4 p.m. Authorities responded immediately to Stoddard Place Apartments on Marigold Drive in Pensacola, a quiet residential area that was forever shaken by the brutality of the crime. When they arrived, they discovered the horrifying crime scene. Officers found Jacavia's lifeless body and Tridarius still breathing but gravely wounded. Jacavia was pronounced dead at the scene, and Tridarius was rushed to the hospital, where he later succumbed to his self-inflicted wounds. Law enforcement was quick to secure the area and ensure the safety of the infant, who had miraculously been unharmed. Investigators began processing the crime scene, and they quickly gathered evidence, including spent shell casings from the gun used in the shooting. What had started as a domestic dispute ended in a double tragedy, with both lives lost in an instant.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. We start with some breaking news tonight in Escambia County. 2 people dead following what the sheriff's calls a murder at an an apartment complex on Marigold Drive, just off Blue Angel Parkway.
And Channel 3's Tanner Stewart is there at the complex and tells us what we learned from the sheriff this afternoon. Tanner.
So, Bob, good evening. This is the Stoddard Place apartment complex just down Blue Angel Parkway. The shooting happened about 2 hours ago, maybe a little more than that now as we come on the air. The call came in just after 4. And Bob, as you mentioned this, the sheriff did confirm with us this was a murder. We were able to speak with the sheriff just a few moments ago. He tells us a man shot an unidentified female in front of an infant child and then turned on himself. Now, we can't confirm that child is okay. We don't know their location right now, but the sheriff did tell us that the child is unharmed. Let's take a listen now. You'll hear Sheriff Simmons talk about the reaction from the family.
Well, we got a call about almost an hour ago now that there was a disturbance and then there was a shooting. When the deputies arrived, we discovered that an adult male was engaged in an argument with an adult female. He reportedly took a gun and he fired at the adult female before turning the gun. Our deputies tried life-saving procedures, but unfortunately I can report to you that both the male and the female are deceased, and now we have investigators en route. We have crime scene here, and we are investigating it right now as a murder.
Now, they weren't the only ones inside the apartment at the time this occurred.
That's correct. We understand that there were a couple of witnesses. One was an infant child, but there are no other injuries. The only injuries right now that we have are the adult male, and that was the shooter, and then he took his, and unfortunately the adult female as well. So we have 2 people shot, 2 people deceased, but there are no other injuries.
Now, you heard the sheriff mention witnesses there. We don't know exactly what the event was inside this apartment, whether it was a large gathering or there were several people living inside the home. The names of the victim and the suspects haven't been identified. The sheriff did confirm an autopsy will be done. We did ask what the motive for this murder was. Again, we haven't got that answer yet. The sheriff's office we would expect release details within the next day or so. We're going to hang out for a while. You can't see it, but over to my left here, it looks like several family members and some friends have gathered here.
As police worked through the investigation, they began piecing together the details of the violent encounter. The motive was clear. Tredarius Gray could not cope with the breakup, and in a fit of jealousy and rage, he decided that if he couldn't have Jacavia, no one would. The events that unfolded were not just senseless, they were devastating, with lasting consequences for the families involved. The investigation into Jacavia Simmons' death quickly became a focal point for law enforcement. They needed to understand what had triggered such a violent and senseless act. Surveillance footage from nearby cameras helped police piece together the moments leading up to the murder. Investigators were able to confirm that Tredarius Gray had entered the apartment complex and confronted Jacavia inside, where the fatal argument and shooting took place. Witnesses, including family members, confirmed that the couple had been in a volatile relationship for some time, despite appearances on social media. While there was no physical evidence of violence leading up to the shooting, the tension had clearly been building. Social media posts from Jacavia revealed cryptic messages about her dissatisfaction with the relationship, including references to being single and feeling trapped. The police had a difficult task ahead as they had to piece together the moments leading up to the shooting and ensure that all aspects of the case were properly investigated. Little did they know what unfolded would leave them with more than the crime itself. The fact that Jacavia's infant child had witnessed the murder was a heart-wrenching detail that would have lasting effects on the child's emotional well-being. This, however, was only the beginning of the long road ahead for the authorities.
We did speak to a family member of the female victim. He said the two were a couple and lived in this apartment complex right behind me. Take a look. Over 100 people gathered at the Stoddard Place apartments Monday night. Many were in tears. Some said they were family members of the deceased, many not wanting to talk.
We don't wish to talk about this time.
Very shocking.
An uncle of the female victim said the couple lived together at the complex and had a 4-month-old baby. He says they had been together for over a year.
I saw both of them yesterday.
How did they seem? They seem okay?
Seem okay, happy, jolly, laughing, as usual, as always.
The sheriff's office said there were no other injuries. No word tonight on what led to the argument and to the
It's just very tragic. Obviously, our hearts go out to the family.
Now, the infant inside the home at the time of that shooting is unharmed tonight. That's certainly some good news here tonight. The sheriff's office not saying if that indeed was the couple's child, but still, many unanswered questions tonight, mainly what led to...
In the aftermath of the tragic murder of Jacavia Simmons, the focus quickly shifted to the suspect, Tredarius Gray, who had taken his own life shortly after killing Jacavia. But despite his death, the investigation was far from over. The Pensacola community, reeling from the shock of the brutal crime, was left grappling with a sense of disbelief. What they didn't realize was that the ripple effects of this tragedy would extend far beyond the crime scene. Though Tredarius Gray had died from his self-inflicted wounds, investigators were left with the difficult task of ensuring that justice was still pursued, particularly for Jacavia's memory. Despite the tragic loss, the quest for justice was far from finished. While the suspect was no longer alive, the community and law enforcement knew that there would be legal proceedings surrounding the tragic event. But as the case moved forward, questions began to mount. The death of Jacavia Simmons left not only her immediate family devastated, but also sent ripples of grief through the wider Pensacola community. As more details about the crime emerged, it became clear that the emotional impact would be felt for years to come. Family members, particularly Jacavia's mother, were left struggling to understand how a relationship that seemed perfect on the outside could have turned so violently wrong. The emotional wounds were deep, and the search for answers would only intensify. Jacavia's uncle Corey Richardson shared that the couple had appeared happy in the weeks leading up to the murder. His words only deepened the mystery surrounding the events. He described the two as happy and laughing when he last saw them together, which made the shocking turn of events even more difficult to comprehend. The images of the seemingly perfect couple contrasted sharply with the violence that had unfolded in their home.
Very shocking. I saw both of them yesterday.
How did they seem? They seem okay?
Seem okay, happy, jolly, laughing, as usual, as always.
As news spread, many local residents expressed their sorrow and disbelief at the senselessness of the crime. The shock was universal. Social media was filled with tributes to Jacavia as friends, family, and even strangers came forward to express their grief. But as the outpouring of support grew, so did the realization that this was no isolated incident. What had appeared to be a loving young couple with a bright future together ended in violence, and the shockwave of this tragic incident impacted everyone who knew them. The grief was not just personal, it was communal. Jacavia's family rallied around each other, struggling with the unbearable grief of losing such a young, vibrant person who had so much to offer the world. But even in the face of their pain, they knew they had to stay strong for the future. The community of Pensacola also expressed their shock, with several residents saying they never would have expected such a tragic event to unfold in their neighborhood. But as they came to grips with the horror, a call for change began to grow. The funeral for Jacavia Simmons was a heartbreaking event for those who loved her. But as mourners gathered to remember her, they were left with a sobering truth. Family, friends, and loved ones gathered to mourn the loss of a young woman whose life had been tragically taken too soon. This was not just a funeral. It was a gathering of broken hearts, all seeking solace in the wake of a senseless tragedy. Jacavia's mother stood at the forefront, her heart heavy with grief, but filled with a fierce determination to honor her daughter's memory. Though the pain was immense, a sense of purpose began to take shape. Despite the overwhelming pain, the family celebrated Jacavia's life, remembering her for the joy, love, and light that she had brought to their lives. But even as they celebrated, the emptiness of her absence could not be ignored. The funeral was a reminder of what could have been for Jacavia and her family. But as they grieved, they also began to see the broader picture of what had been lost. Jacavia's 4-month-old daughter would grow up without her mother, a painful reality that would haunt her for the rest of her life. The tragedy was not just a personal loss. It was a loss that would echo for generations. The ceremony also underscored the devastating impact of domestic violence on not just the victims, but on the families and communities left to pick up the pieces after such an atrocity. And in that moment, the weight of the problem became even clearer. While the community gathered to pay their respects, there was also a sense of urgency. This was not just a tragedy, it was a call to action. As the funeral proceedings ended and the family tried to heal, many questions remain unanswered. Why did Tredarius Gray feel the need to resort to violence after the breakup? What could have been done to prevent this senseless loss? How do we address the escalating problem of domestic violence in our communities? These are questions that Jacavia's family and the Pensacola community are left grappling with. It's a tragic reminder that no one is immune from the danger of domestic violence, regardless of how perfect a relationship might appear on the outside. Jacavia's story shines a light on the importance of recognizing the signs of emotional and psychological abuse before they escalate into physical violence. Young people in particular need to learn about the importance of respect, boundaries, and communication in relationships. Without this knowledge, the cycle of violence can continue, leaving more families devastated in its wake. Another important lesson is the role of social media in modern relationships. While it can provide a sense of connection, it can also amplify insecurities and misunderstandings. Jacavia's Facebook posts, though seemingly harmless to some, served as a trigger for her ex-boyfriend's violent response. It's crucial to approach online behavior with caution, especially in the context of fragile relationships. Posting intimate details, airing grievances, or making passive-aggressive remarks online can sometimes escalate tensions and lead to dangerous outcomes. Couples should communicate directly and resolve conflicts in private without involving the public eye, especially on social platforms that can amplify negative emotions. Jacavia Simmons' life was tragically cut short, but her memory lives on in the lessons we learn from her story. Let's make sure that no other person has to face the same fate. Together, we can create a future where violence and abuse have no place in our relationships. Rest in peace, Jacavia Simmons. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below, and if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.